Amara's world was falling apart. Her art exhibition in Seoul had been a dream come true, but now it was a nightmare. 6 years ago, a drugged night led to a one-night stand with a man she didn't know, leaving her pregnant with her son Aiden. She raised him alone in Nigeria, keeping him a secret. Now, at 26, she was back in Seoul, and the man from that night, June, a powerful mafia boss, had seen Aiden and suspected the truth. June's fiancé, Min-ji, saw Amara as a threat and was plotting to ruin her. As Amara tried to protect Aiden, danger was closing in, with betrayals and twists she never saw coming. If you're loving this drama, hit that subscribe button and join our channel for more. Amara was in her studio, painting to calm her nerves after seeing June at the exhibition. She couldn't shake the fear in her chest, the way his eyes locked on Aiden, like he knew her son was his. She wanted to run back to Nigeria, but her exhibition wasn't over, and she needed the money for Aiden's future. She didn't know someone had been in her studio the night before. Detective Han, a crooked cop paid by Min-ji, had snuck in and hidden stolen art pieces behind her canvases. He was good at making people look guilty, and Min-ji wanted Amara gone. Han called the police that morning, saying he had a tip about a thief. By noon, 2 officers knocked on Amara's studio door. Amara froze when they showed her the stolen art, small sculptures and paintings from another gallery, tucked behind her own work. She tried to explain, her voice shaking, but they didn't listen. They cuffed her hands, right there in front of Aiden, who was playing with his toy car. He started crying, calling for her, and Amara's heart broke as an officer pulled him away. The police took her to the station, and the news spread fast. People whispered that the African-Korean artist was a thief. Her name dragged through the dirt. Aiden was sent to a foster home for the day, and Amara sat in a cold cell, her head in her hands, feeling like she'd failed her son. June heard about the arrest before the news even hit. His men kept tabs on everything in Seoul, and Amara's name came up fast. He didn't believe she was a thief, not the woman he remembered from 6 years ago, with her bright smile and warm eyes. But he saw his chance. He called his lawyer, a man who could bend the law like paper, and told him to get Amara out. June didn't care about her, or so he told himself. This was about Aiden, his son, confirmed by the DNA test he'd run on the juice box. He'd do anything to get his boy, even if it meant dealing with Amara. By evening, June's lawyer got Amara released on bail, but there was a catch. June was waiting outside the station, his car sleek and black, his face calm but his eyes hard. He told her she was free, but only if she let him meet Aiden. Amara's stomach twisted. She didn't trust him, didn't want him near her son, but she had no choice. The police still had her name, and Aiden was in foster care until she sorted this out. She nodded, her throat tight, and June drove her to pick up Aiden. The ride was quiet, but Amara felt his power, like a storm waiting to break. When they got Aiden, he ran to Amara, hugging her legs, and she cried, holding him close. June watched, his face blank, but inside, he felt something stir, seeing his son for the first time. They went to a small cafe to talk, Aiden sipping juice and playing with a toy. Amara kept her distance, her eyes on June, ready to run if she had to. June was gentle with Aiden, asking about his favorite games, but his words to Amara were sharp. He said he knew Aiden was his, and he wanted to be in his life. Amara's heart raced. She lied again, saying Aiden's father was someone else, but June just stared like he could see her fear. He didn't push, not yet, but he said he'd be watching. Amara felt trapped, like she was losing control. Meanwhile, Min-ji was furious. She'd watched June leave the gallery last night, his mind on Amara and the boy. She wasn't going to let some artist from Nigeria take what was hers. Min-ji had her own connections, a rival mafia group that hated June. She called their leader, a man with a scar across his cheek, and made a deal. She'd help them take one of June's territories, a piece of land worth millions, if they got rid of Amara's son. She didn't want Aiden dead, not exactly. She wanted him gone, far away, so June would forget him and Amara. The rival agreed, and that night they moved. Aiden was at the foster home, waiting for Amara's paperwork to clear. Two men, dressed as workers, slipped in, saying they were there to fix a leak. They grabbed Aiden when no one was looking, stuffing him in a van before he could scream. By the time Amara and June got to the foster home, Aiden was gone. Amara fell to her knees, sobbing, blaming herself for coming to Seoul. She screamed at June, saying this was his fault, that his world was poison. June's face was stone, but inside he was breaking. He'd lost his son before he even knew him. He grabbed Amara's arm, promising he'd get Aiden back, no matter what it took. For the first time, he told her a piece of his truth, how he'd grown up alone, no parents, no one to care. He wouldn't let Aiden feel that way. Amara didn't want to trust him, but she had no one else. They went to June's office, a dark room in a high-rise, where his men were already searching for leads. Amara called her best friend, Temi, who was in Seoul helping with the exhibition. Temi was smart, a private investigator back in Nigeria, and she didn't like June one bit. She'd been digging into him since Amara told her about the man at the gallery. Temi found something, a phone record linking Minji to the rival mafia. She called Amara, her voice urgent, saying she had proof Minji was behind something big. But before she could explain, there was a crash, a scream, and the line went dead. Amara's heart stopped. She told June, who sent his men to Temi's hotel. They found her on the floor, blood on her head, barely breathing. Someone had hit her hard and left her for dead. She was rushed to a hospital, now in a coma, and Amara felt like the world was crumbling. She didn't know Temi had found a text from Minji to the rival mafia, telling them to take Aiden and hide him. Minji was playing a dangerous game, pretending to be worried when she visited June, her eyes wet with fake tears. She stayed close, acting like she cared, while planning her next move. That night, Amara and June got a video on June's phone. It showed Aiden, his small face scared, sitting in a dark warehouse. A voice, low and rough, said June had to give up his territory or Aiden would pay. There was a clue in the video, a necklace on the floor, one Minji always wore, glinting in the shadows. Amara saw it and gasped, her mind racing. June's eyes narrowed, but he didn't say anything. He looked at Amara, his voice cold but steady, and said they'd find Aiden together. Amara nodded, tears in her eyes, knowing they were walking into a trap but having no choice. The city felt darker now, and the truth about Minji was closer than they knew. Amara's heart was breaking, but she had no time to cry. Her 5-year-old son Aiden had been kidnapped, and the man from her past, June, a mafia boss and Aiden's father, was her only hope to get him back. 6 years ago, a drugged night in Seoul led to a one-night stand that left her pregnant, a secret she kept as she raised Aiden alone in Nigeria. Now, at 26, back in Seoul for an art exhibition, her life was unraveling. June knew Aiden was his son, and his fiancée, Minji, had framed Amara for art theft and orchestrated Aiden's kidnapping with a rival mafia group. Amara's friend Temi was in a coma after finding proof of Minji's schemes. A ransom video showed Aiden scared in a warehouse, with a clue pointing to Minji, a necklace she always wore. Amara and June were ready to fight to save their son, but danger and betrayal were waiting. If you're gripped by this story, hit that subscribe button and join our channel for more. Amara sat in June's car, her hands shaking as they sped through Seoul's dark streets. The city lights blurred outside, but all she could see was Aiden's scared face in that video. June was quiet, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, his face hard like stone. He'd told her about the warehouse, a place the rival mafia used to hide their deals. His men had tracked it down, and they were going in, no matter the risk. Amara didn't trust June, not with his mafia life and cold eyes, but she saw how he reacted to Aiden's kidnapping, like it cut him deep. She didn't want to need him, but she did. They stopped near an old building, its windows dark, and June handed her a small knife. He said to stay close, to move fast. Amara nodded, her heart racing, feeling a spark between them despite her fear, a pull she remembered from that night 6 years ago. Inside the warehouse, it was dark and damp, with crates stacked high. June's men moved like shadows, guns ready, while Amara stayed behind him, clutching the knife. They heard voices, low and rough, and crept closer. Through a gap in the crates, Amara saw Aiden tied to a chair, his small face pale but brave. Her chest ached, but June grabbed her arm, whispering to wait. Then chaos broke out. June's men attacked, and the rival mafia fought back, bullets flying. Amara ducked, her ears ringing, but she kept her eyes on Aiden. June moved like he was born for this, taking down men with quick, sharp moves. Amara ran to Aiden, cutting his ropes, and he clung to her, crying. She hugged him tight, whispering he was safe, but the fight wasn't over. Minji was there, hidden in the shadows, watching her plan fall apart. She'd told the rival mafia to take Aiden, promising them June's territory if they helped her get rid of Amara. But the rivals were greedy, and they didn't trust her. One of them, a tall man with a scar, grabbed Minji's arm and yelled that she'd lied to them, that June's empire was harder to take than she said. Minji panicked, pulling a gun from her bag. She aimed at the rival, but Detective Han, her crooked cop ally, stepped in to calm things down. In the mess, a shot rang out and Han fell, blood spreading across his chest. Minji froze, her hands shaking. She'd shot him by mistake. The rival with the scar laughed, turning to June, who was now close, holding a gun. He shouted that Minji had betrayed them all, that she'd planned to double-cross everyone. June's face went cold as he looked at Minji, the woman he was supposed to marry. She tried to lie, saying it was a mistake, but the rival threw her phone at June's feet. It had texts showing she'd set up the kidnapping, that she wanted Aiden gone to keep June to herself. Amara, holding Aiden, stared at Minji, her anger boiling. She wanted to scream, but she kept Aiden's face buried in her shoulder, shielding him. The fight turned worse, and one of June's men, a young guy named Minsu who'd been with him for years, pushed Amara and Aiden behind a crate. A bullet hit Minsu in the chest, and he fell, blood pooling. He'd taken the shot to save them. June yelled, his voice breaking, but he kept fighting, getting Amara and Aiden out. They made it to the car, Aiden safe in Amara's arms, but the cost was heavy. Minsu was gone, and June's eyes were dark with guilt. They drove to a safe house, a small apartment June owned, away from the city's noise. Aiden fell asleep, exhausted, and Amara sat with him, her hands still shaking. June stood by the window, his back to her, quiet. Then he spoke, his voice low. He said he never wanted a kid, that his life was too dark for that. He'd grown up with nothing, no family, fighting to survive. But seeing Aiden, knowing he was his, changed something. He said he'd die before letting anyone hurt his son again. Amara listened, her heart torn. She hated his world, but she saw pain in him, a man who wasn't just a monster. She didn't know what to feel, anger, fear, or something softer she didn't want to name. Minji had slipped away during the chaos, running into the night. She was furious, her plans ruined, her betrayal exposed. She wasn't done though. She went to a dirty motel, her hands still shaking from shooting Han. She knew June would come for her, but she had one last card. She called a contact, someone who owed her, and told them to plant Han's gun in June's office, with his prints on it. She'd make it look like June killed Han, her own ally, to tie up loose ends. The police would believe it. June was a mafia boss after all. She smiled, thinking Amara and Aiden would be alone, easy to hurt. The next morning, Amara woke up to Aiden's small hand in hers. She felt relief, but it was fragile. June was making calls, planning to hunt Minji, but then police cars pulled up outside. They stormed in, guns drawn, and cuffed June before he could say a word. They said they found the gun that killed Han, with June's prints, in his office. Amara gasped, holding Aiden close, watching as June was dragged away. He looked at her, his eyes steady, and said to keep Aiden safe. Then he was gone, the police car vanishing into the city. Amara stood in the safe house, alone with Aiden, her mind spinning. Minji was still out there, and now June was gone, locked up for a murder he didn't do. She didn't know if she could trust him, but he'd fought for Aiden, risked everything. Her heart ached, thinking of his words about his lonely childhood, how he wanted better for their son. She looked at Aiden, playing quietly, still shaken from the kidnapping. She had to protect him, but how? Minji's necklace in the video kept flashing in her mind, a clue that the woman wasn't done. Amara didn't know what was coming, but she felt it. Minji was planning something worse, and Amara was on her own.